Part 4. The only question is, with what let your faith become your foundation, and let your daily actions as proven. If there is one trait that separates the builders of history from the men who remain in hesitation their entire lives, it is decisiveness. The ability to choose and never retreat. You do not drift your way into greatness. You decide your way there. One decision repeated without apology becomes the dividing line between those who make history and those who only watch it unfold. Let this be understood. Indecision is the breeding ground of fear, and the longer you wait to choose, the louder the doubt. Doubt becomes a man who delays, decays every time you hesitate on your next step. You make room for second guessing, for outside opinion, for fear disguised as logic, and slowly your energy leaks. Your clarity fades, your conviction crumbles. And this is why a man must train himself to decide fast and change his mind. Slowly, that is the habit of the elite. Henry Ford was not a man who asked permission. He did not pull the crowd when he made a decision. It was final, forged in fire, even when his own engineers told him that an 8-cylinder engine in one block was impossible. He told them build it anyway. And they did, because his decision was stronger than their doubt. Charles M. Schwab and the steel empire of Carnegie rose, not just because he was competent, but because he was decisive. He didn't hesitate. He didn't dance around responsibility. He moved. He understood the pressure of command and made the hard calls. This is what most miss. They think successful men are the smartest or the most connected. No, they are the most decided. They walk into the day knowing who they are. They don't need to feel ready. They are ready because they said. So look at Andrew Carnegie. He didn't build his empire through endless research. He built it through direction. One goal, one mission, one purpose, chosen with finality. And from that decision, everything else was shaped. Your life works the same way until you decide who you are. The world will keep assigning roles for you. It will hand you scripts. It will offer distractions. It will tempt you to stay average. But when you decide, truly decide, the world has no choice but to rearrange around that choice. Here is the law. Decision creates identity. Indecision preserves the old self. So if you keep drifting back into old habits, it is not because you are weak. It is because you have not decided to leave them behind. What's worse, indecision breeds more indecision. It compounds, and soon your life becomes a loop of almost starts and nearly finished goals. But when you choose, when you burn the bridge, when you kill the backup plan, you create an energy that cannot be faked. That energy, the world responds to it. Your mind aligns to it. Your standards are born from it. Let me give you an instruction. Make one powerful decision today and refuse to revisit it. If it's fitness, decide if it's business. Decide if it's who you're becoming. Decide now. And when the voice of doubt creeps in, when the temptation to adjust or wait or feel it out shows up, you don't listen because the decision is already made. Thomas Edison didn't ask the light bulb for permission. He didn't wait until he had all the answers. He decided, and he pursued over 10. 0 renewal or 0 attempts. Not trials, decisions. You need that same resolve. Because each decision backed by definitive purpose builds your internal spine. Once your spine is built, the storms of life lose their power. They cannot move a man who has already decided. Even Abraham Lincoln, who faced the weight of a nation in civil war, was not paralyzed by indecision. He was methodical, but he was final. His Emancipation Proclamation was not born of public applause. It was born of personal resolve. That kind of decision shapes the future. So ask yourself now, what decision have you been avoiding? What goal have you kept open? So you don't have to commit. What mission have you left? Negotiable, draw the line today. Say it out loud if you have to. I no longer delay. I no longer drift. I no longer entertain versions of me that hesitate. You say it, you write it, you live it. And from that one decision, all other actions flow. Because the truth is this: most men are not waiting on opportunity. They are waiting on permission to decide. But I tell you now, no one is coming to give it. The greats didn't wait. They chose, so choose with spine, with fire, with finality. And from that moment forward, you become unshakable. There is a secret embedded in the foundation of every fortune. It is not luck. It is not timing. It is not charm. It is the habit of doing more than one is paid to do this law. The law of compensation governs advancement, like gravity governs motion. It does not discriminate. It does not miss it. It simply returns to each man the value he contributes, multiplied over time. And here's the truth: most will never understand. You are not paid for your time, and you are paid for your value. And value is determined by one thing: how far you're willing to go beyond what is expected. The average man performs at the level of his paycheck, but the exceptional man, he performs at the level of his potential. He does wait to be rewarded. He becomes so effective, so consistent, so deeply valuable that reward becomes inevitable. This is the law, and it cannot be faked. Charles M. Schwab rose from humble beginnings, not because he had better education, but because he had better attitude toward work. He became indispensable by making himself irreplaceable. He gave his mind, he gave his energy, he gave more than he was paid for. And because of that, Andrew Carnegie eventually paid him more than any steel man in history. Carnegie himself practiced this principle with almost spiritual devotion. When he built his early career, he worked longer hours, took on greater challenges, volunteered for responsibilities outside his title. Not for recognition, but for growth, and that growth, it positioned him for opportunity. This is how the climb begins. You don't get promoted by asking him, you get promoted by becoming too valuable to ignore. Understand this: the marketplace pays for impact, not intention. Doesn't matter how long you meant it. Doesn't care how busy you were. It only measures results. And those results are multiplied for the man who consistently goes above and beyond. That's where you must live. And in the extra mile, the unpaid hour, the unseen effort, the quiet improvement. Because here's the secret: no one talks about the extra. Mile is the emptiest one, and that's why it's where all the power lives. Everyone wants to get ahead, but few are willing to give more than they're asked. Few wake up early without being told. Few deliver excellence when average is accepted. Few take ownership of mistakes that weren't even theirs, but the few who do, they rise. Thomas Edison did not stop when the world said enough. He worked relentlessly not to clock hours, but to produce value over 1,000 patents, invention after invention. Why? Because he focused not on reward, but on output, and reward followed. And this is why you must detach from immediate return. If you only act when rewarded, you will forever be enslaved by permission. But if you act from principle, from the law itself, you become independent of circumstances. You act not for applause, but because you're the kind of man who does more than what is required. And over time, the world catches up. Henry Ford didn't invent the car. He revolutionized the process. He built something better, faster, more accessible. He didn't stop at good enough. He pushed boundaries, he over-delivered, and because of that, the market followed him. Success is not reserved for the lucky. It is earned by the man who serves out, improves, and outlasts. That is what you must install. Not just in business, but in your home, in your discipline, in your mission. When you do more than expected, you become more than expected. You grow, you gain self-respect, you earn influence, and most importantly, you rise above the competition without needing to destroy anyone else. So here's your challenge. Where can you over-deliver today? What extra detail can you improve? What skill can you sharpen? without being asked what task can you complete better than expected. And once you answer, you do it not once, but daily until excellence becomes your habit and your name becomes associated with certainty, because that's the highest currency, certainty of execution. The man who always delivers, even when no one's watching, becomes the man who is always called on when it matters. So if you want to advance if you want to rise, if you want to build a reputation that makes opportunity chase you, not the other way around, then stop asking for more and start giving more, quietly, relentlessly, with no need for credit, because credit will come, compensation will come, recognition will come, but only if you build yourself into the kind of man who doesn't need it. Say this aloud: I do more than what I'm paid to do. I am not average. I move with excellence even when no one is watching. And if you repeat that and you live that, you will never lack opportunity again, because the law is simple. He who gives more becomes more, and he who becomes more will always have more. You may have strength, you may have intelligence, you may have the most brilliant plan in the world, but if your presence repels others, if your energy repels trust, if your manner of speech pushes people away, instead of drawing them near, then your power will never reach its full expression. Because the truth is this: no man rises alone, and the one who knows how to influence others with warmth, confidence, and clarity will always move faster and farther than the man who tries to force everything by brute strength. This is what we call a pleasing personality. Not manipulation, not charm, but a cultivated energy, one that magnetizes others without begging for attention. It is the invisible,